Welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank you so much for stopping by again. I ran across a story in the Filipino media of a foreigner spotted eating leftovers off the plates of customers as they were leaving the mall. Now, they didn't say which mall it was or what city it was in, but this was a feel-good story. And one thing I like about the media here is they still have feel-good stories. It's not negative, blood and gore shoved down your throat 24 hours a day. But this gentleman obviously was in a bad way. And the guy who spotted him eventually bought him something to eat. Now, what caught my attention in this article was, this is a Filipino media outlet, 100% Filipino owned, because the media has to be owned by Filipinos over here. Written by a Filipino writer. And he says this. He says stories of foreigners being left with nothing by their Filipino partners is nothing new. So he jumped to the conclusion, without even really knowing what happened to this guy, that the Filipina ran off with the money. It happens so much over here, guys, that this is what they think. This is the default reason when they see a foreigner out here struggling. If he's homeless, hungry, he doesn't have any money, they just think, they take for granted that his Filipino partner ran off with it. How do you help somebody like this? When you go in the article, you're going to see they got the picture of the man. I'm not going to put him on my channel or anything like that. But I can see in his eyes that maybe he's got some mental problems. Some people we have to direct toward the embassy or to the authorities to help. Everybody knows how much I help people, but sometimes it's beyond your reach. It's beyond money or anything like that, because I want you to understand this guy was eating the leftovers from the plates of people as they were getting up to leave the establishment. That's pretty bad. What I had done, I'd have bought him something just like the Filipino man did. But then from there, I probably would have directed him toward some help, or maybe even called the authorities myself. When I brought this up, we were eating lunch yesterday, and two of my close friends over here, they had a pretty lively discussion about it, how they would handle it. One guy said, hey, it's embarrassing, makes all foreigners look bad. Then the other guy was like, hey, look, man, mental health problems, all over the world. And he gave some examples of friends he knew. But it was a real lively discussion. It's like, how do you help somebody in that situation? We're divided on that. Some people would just keep going and say, hey, you should have came with a better plan or whatever. But the point I want to make here, guys, is the Filipino writer, he immediately jumped to the conclusion that this gentleman's Filipino partner ran off with everything. It happens so much over here, guys. We have to learn how to hold on to our money, no matter what. I don't know. He could have been on drugs. It didn't say. It didn't go into enough detail. But that's the second paragraph. Stories of foreigners being left with nothing by their Filipino partners. It's nothing new over here. See, but when I say it, you get mad at me. Nothing that I say on my channel is earth-shattering. It's nothing new. I just make people aware of it. A lot of my viewers, they've never been here before, but they have an interest in coming here. So I like to bring up topics like this, but this is Rule 13, man. I call it Rule 13 because it's a bad luck rule. You have to hold on to your money over here, man, no matter what. Now, I want to talk about another story before I get off here because, man, my voice is shot. I took some BioFlu last night. I'm feeling a whole lot better. I'm on my way back home from Cebu, and I met some great people here, man. I mean, just unbelievable people. Luis Martinez, shout out to you. I met him here because it's his first time in the Philippines. I want to make sure everything went smooth, and he's a long-time supporter. If he flies 8,000 miles, he says, hey, Calvin, can I meet you? Of course, I'm going to come 3 hours to meet him. And that's what I did. But yeah, I'm feeling a whole lot better. I just really need some rest is what I need. But there's another story, another viral story, because the story of the foreigner became viral. Guys, listen, one of the very few times foreigners are going to go viral over here, it's going to be something negative, okay? And more than 99 times out of 100, it's going to be something negative. It's just how it is. But anyway, this is another viral story. It's in the news of a scammer. It's a Filipino scammer preying on men on these dating sites for money to the tune of millions of pesos to rescue her business from going bankrupt. And she eventually, the universe eventually caught up with her. They talked to two guys. One guy lost 10 million. One guy lost 6 million. That was just two guys. And they violated Rule 13. You got to hold on to your money. You can't give it away over here. She was just it's a regular looking Filipino, but, the article said, I didn't, that she was preying on men on these dating sites, asking for money. And she probably would have kept doing it and getting away with it until the universe stepped in. And somebody who wasn't even associated with her scams or hadn't lost 1 peso from this lady ended up turning her in. But we have to do a better job of holding on to our money over here. It's the bad luck rule. Whenever a foreigner goes broke over here, the default reason is the Filipino ran off with the money. It's never, he's on drugs. It's never he's got mental problems. It's never he made some bad investments. It's always that, guys. Filipinos know more about this story than I do. I'm making you aware of it. That's all I'm doing. They're a whole lot smarter than me over here, okay? But I just tell you my boots on the ground experience, what I'm seeing, what I'm living, what I'm experiencing. And people push back on that. This is what he said. He said those stories of foreigners being left with nothing but a Filipino partners is nothing new. It's not. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this, man. It was a sad story with the guy. Imagine eating leftovers off the plates, because what reminded me of the story was we were eating lunch yesterday at a nice restaurant. I think it's called Spence. And it's right across from Spence's Cafe and Kitchen, right across from Ayala Mall. The food was delicious. And my friend, he hadn't finished his food. He was just sitting there. He had like 1.5 chicken wings left, some rice. I didn't have nothing in mind, and neither did my other friend. And it made me think about that story and how sad that must be, how desperate this guy must have been. I'm thinking it's something mental, guys, for you to eat off the plate of a stranger. You don't know how long their food's been sitting there. You don't know the circumstances around the people who left the food. You just slide in there and start eating leftovers off that plate, man. I had taken, the last time I was in Dumaguete, I was in Robinson Mall. There's a little establishment in the back that serves great inner-style chicken and different things like that. I'm almost sure I had fried chicken. But anyway, when I got done, the dog jumped up on the table and was eating the leftovers. So it shows you the bad situation this guy had gotten himself into. I would have loved for them to have been able to leave more information. What city he was in. Maybe we would have been able to reach out to the guy and help him, pointing him in the right direction to get some help, because there's some help over here. Your embassy does very little for you, but they will get you back home. They will give you a little money to get something to eat and all of that. You don't have to resort to eating leftovers off of plates in a mall. So thank you so much for stopping by today. I just came across my mind today, man. I'm a compassionate individual. It touched me. It was a feel-good story, though. because the Filipino guy eventually bought him something to eat. But now what? One thing about the Filipino media over here, they still will feed you some feel-good stories, man. You know, it's not all blood and gore all the time. This had a happy ending, really, for that particular day. But if you or somebody you know is in a bad situation like that, you know, reach out to somebody. That's why it's so important to have friends and associates over here. It's real important to have a plan, a savings plan, okay, a just in case plan. Something goes horribly wrong like that. Because although people over here want to help you, a lot of them can't help us, guys. You know, they can barely help themselves. So if you're in America or in France or in Britain, Australia, Thailand, wherever you are, BGC, Makati, find it in your heart today to help somebody, to make their lives just a little bit better. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. When we help other people, we help ourselves. Take care, stay safe, stay COVID free. I'll see you next time.